Grommet, that's it. Cheese. We'll go somewhere where there's cheese. Howdy and welcome to The Right Questions. By day, Gavin Strange is a director and designer for the UK's beloved creative studio, Aardman Animations. By night, he goes under the alias of Jam Factory, indulging in all manner of passion projects from music to movies. He's a keynote speaker, giving creative talks around the world, from Mexico to Manchester, Berlin to Buckingham Palace, and he's the author behind the motivational mantra, Do Fly, published by the inimitable Do Book Company. And Gavin is someone I love to call my friend. Here's our chat. Gavin, you talented hunk of man, it's so good to have you here. Thanks for showing up.
Oh, what an intro. Thank you, mate. As always, it's a pleasure to hang out with you digitally, physically. Thank you for having me.
Hey, I'm just going to cut right to it because I know you got a lot of juicy bits in you, and I want to be able to cover it all. But I'm going to start this talking or with the question that I ask everybody. I begin everybody with the same question, which is, Gavin, what made you weird as a kid?
That's such a good question. No one's ever asked me that. What made me weird? Do you know what? I think thinking back, I guess I kind of was a weird kid in that I had lots of different interests and lots of diverging interests. And kind of, I think the thing that stands out when I tell people that they often don't believe, but between the ages of 9 and 19, I was a ballroom and Latin dancer. And I did that for a decade and then quit and started skateboarding. Meanwhile, being at quite a kind of like a rough school in England. And so I kind of, all of those things didn't really kind of go together at the time, but I just kind of went with it really. And you do, don't you? You go with things and it's only looking back, you're like, maybe that was a bit weird, but I'm so proud. So yeah, maybe that was when it first clicked that maybe I do things differently. And I'm really proud of that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have a I'm curious about this now. Do you have, I mean, you're a wildly visual guy. Your work and your personal work, your the fun that you make is completely playful. Do you have any and I've seen you on stage with James, right? And talking about childhood and talking about the influences. Do you have any very early visual memories?
Yeah, I do actually. I think so much of it is, for me, sort of animation and cartoons and those things that are kind of burned into my brain that way. So it was a lot of things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Brave Star and kind of definitely a lot of so sort of animated cartoons. And in the UK, we kind of didn't quite get them like North America. So we would only have this sort of very specific drip fed sort of cartoons that would make it onto our TV. So actually, if you saw something that was animated, it was really exciting to catch that. But at the same time, I had this utter fascination with video games because we couldn't afford them as a family. They're like now, I guess, incredibly expensive, and my folks didn't understand what they were or why I was lusting after them. So I would save up my pocket money and buy the magazines. That was the only thing I could afford, was save pocket money, buy the magazines, and then like live vicariously through these posters. And so I think now looking back, like that's so special that I was like, my gateway into this world of creativity was through the artwork and design and illustration of other artists, you know. And often back then, you know, the posters and the artwork for the games absolutely didn't represent what the actual video game would look like. The game would probably look like just crap, just a bunch of pixels, and it was relatively primitive. But the world and the sort of excitement that this promo art, these posters, these magazines would contain was really enticing for me. And then lastly, it was like the triple whammy then of the artwork on cassette tapes. And so I was lucky that I had a older babysitter who, when I was sort of 10, 11, she was like 16, so she was into cool and interesting music, and so she would give me these cassette tapes, and they had, you know, this artwork that I had never seen. So I think quite early on I was exposed to maybe stuff I probably shouldn't have seen, but of course if you're 11, then what a 16-year-old showing you is the coolest thing on the planet. I have this vivid memory of being given this cassette that was like, she taped it and printed out the kind of covers, like bootleg covers, and one half was Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style album in '93, and the others was Cypress Hill's Black Sunday, and they both have very different artwork style. Snoop Dogg's is like quite a crude cartoon, and then Cypress Hill's is like this dark, gloomy sort of photography collage. And again, those things are burned in my brain as well. So yeah, I was really lucky to have this sort of triple whammy of like animation, film, video games, and music sort of seep into my conscious a little bit earlier than usual.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny. You remind me that for me it was a cousin, an older cousin.
Nice.
And he was into this music that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It was like Ozzy Osbourne, right?
Yes.
And the Grateful Dead. Like I couldn't even get over that name. Grateful.
Yeah, I know. Like that's still like a gnarly name, and if you're young, you're like, what does that mean? Like, I think that's just the thing, right? Like, if you just get your sort of like music, particularly when you're young, it's like those older band names and band visuals come in, and you don't know what to do with it. That's what makes it so exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think I spent a huge chunk of my life redrawing Elton John's Yellow Brick Road and Kiss Destroyer album covers, right?
Yes.
Again and again and again. Tell me about your parents. Did they support you creatively?
Yeah, they did actually. That's a great question. I love this, James. Yeah, they did actually. Yeah, they were. My dad in particular was always a great sort of artist, but he was an engineer, and I think he could have gone to sort of a art school, but you know, back then when he was growing up, that really wasn't a viable thing, and that wasn't seen as a viable thing. So he just sort of did his art for fun. And I've got a vivid memory of me asking him to draw me things all the time. Like I loved watching him draw, and watching him draw animals in particular. I would always ask him to draw different birds and stuff. I kind of got that logged as a core memory. But overall, they were really supportive, even though at the time, kind of graphic design, they didn't really, I didn't understand. You know, I got my first job age 17 in 99 turn of 2000, you know, so for them they weren't quite sure what that meant. And then particularly at that time, internet design, so web design, was growing, and they really were unsure as to what that means. I've got this story I've always told, that me coming home from my very first job, because I still lived at home, I was only sort of 17, 18, telling my mum, the workplaces offered me a chance to kind of pivot more to web designing for the internet. That's really interesting. And my mum sort of looked really hesitant and went, are you sure this internet thing's going to stick around though? And I still love to remind her of that yep, the internet is still around, Mum. It's still kicking. So yeah, so they were supportive, and they've always been very loving and supportive. And full credit to them. And now, you know, both of us as parents, we can appreciate that actually that takes guts when you don't fully understand what that thing is, but you actively encourage and support your children to pursue it, regardless of you not knowing what it is. So, you know, the older I get, the more appreciative I am of that encouragement.
I am, I mean, we met a number of years ago at a conference in Barcelona, and we've, you know, bumped into each other around the world. So I'm a huge fan of you personally, as well as creatively, but, you know, and I love what you do with, you know, Aardman Studios, your day job, basically, right? But also, you on your own are so wildly creative with music and animation. It seems like you're pretty unbridled. Is there anything that you can't do creatively? Is there anything that, like, do you ever come up with anything that's just like impossible, or are you just like keep making it up and keep going?
I mean, definitely making up and keep going. But first of all, mate, that is so very kind of you to say. You're the Victory. That really means a great, great, great deal to me. So thank you. And I've got a vivid memory again of seeing you on stage. You know, I saw your talk before I met, and I was sitting. I've made 2 new friends in Barcelona, and they were like, "You've got to watch James. You've got to watch James." And I remember sitting in the front row, and you had your wonderful gold stickers. So I vividly remember how much of a powerhouse you were. So first of all, massive love and support, and thank you to you. It's very kind of you. But yeah, I mean, there's a trillion things I can't do, but I think in my own time, I've just absolutely found the joy in just trying it regardless, and sort of really feeling free of the shackles of anything. I think I really like my personal position of the security of a day job, and then that ultimately meaning I'm not worried about sort of, well, we're all worried about money, but I'm not doing anything in my own time for financial gain. You know, the day job is something I love at Aardman. It's a dream job, and I've been there a long time now, but I really like just the sort of pure childlike wonder of trying stuff and doing stuff in my own time. And actually that, I feel like that's got stronger. I've got better at ignoring everything else, as you know, really focusing in on see what I can do in my own time, because I've really found mass benefit in then trying to apply those learnings and those lessons into the day job, and vice versa. Sometimes I'll try a new technique at Aardman and I want to go home and experiment and grow and develop it more. Other times it's the opposite, and I'll find a new something at home, and I'm like, right, how can I bring that into my work? And you know, that variety I think is key for me, and I feel very, very fortunate to have found a rhythm. You know, I guess that's what it feels like to me. It's a rhythm that works for me. So yeah, hopefully long may it continue, and just see where it can go.
Mm-hmm. So the play is the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it is. And that's what massively attracted me to Aardman as well. You know, growing up in the UK, I'm just that their work is part of my DNA. I think it's part of most British people's DNA, to be totally honest. So to sort of be in the gravitational pull of that anyway is exciting. Being in Bristol, where Aardman is based in the southwest of England, is special living in that city. But then to sort of find my way into that company and be a part of it, I really love it. And I think it's playfulness, and it's silly, and it's strange, and it's charming. And as I've got older, you know, that is definitely the kind of work I want to make. And actually I'm a real big scaredy cat. I don't like horror. I don't like anything graphical. I don't like anything. I mean, we were saying this when we were out in Merida in Mexico. You know, I really don't enjoy any of that. And actually, again, as the older I've got and the more experience I've got, it's really made me double down into, I want to make joyous things and silly things and charming things, because I need it. You know, and hopefully I think maybe the world needs some of that as well. So it's like reinforced my love of just making silly stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's funny because if I think about it, the outside voices besides my own that I'm inviting onto this podcast often have that childlike sense of play, right? And there is something extremely important to that. I don't know if you know the work of Brad Montague.
Yeah.
But he's going to be on the show as well. A lot of my audience has they have day jobs, you know. And I was asked this question recently in a podcast, and I didn't have a very good answer for it, because I mean, I've been extremely lucky in my job. I don't have as many commercial clients these days, and it might not be apt for you, but you know, you have basically an in-house gig, but you're bringing in this creativity and you're bringing in this spirit and this play. Do you have to go through any process of vetting or convincing to get ideas across? Like what the way it would be termed in the business would be to, you know, convincing clients. Do you
Yeah, no,
experience that?
yeah, I mean, I definitely do. Yeah, I mean, I think it totally depends on. This is what I love about the variety, and what I'm very fortunate to do, in that sometimes at Aardman I'm working on things for Aardman. So I might be working on a Wallace and Gromit project or a Shaun the Sheep project. So that's, you know, our existing characters and our existing worlds that I know well, and get to work with an amazing crew and team of people that also know it well. But then sometimes, Aardman makes lots of work with other partners and for other clients. And so, often if they do know Aardman, that's one thing, that's lovely. But then there's a lot of convincing of them to go down your route. If I'm directing, then of course. And I love that, actually. I think because I came to, my actual title at Aardman is director and designer. I joined as a graphic designer, but over time transitioned to also being a animation director. Is from the world of graphic design as we know it. Graphic design is about communicating ideas, and so I really like that challenge, actually, of right, let's make a banging pitch deck, let's make something that is convincing and full of heart, and again, I try and be as personal as possible, and just to really try and convince people to pick my idea or to go with this route. So I really like, now looking back, realizing, my route has kind of created my way of doing things, and sort of graphic design and image making and communicating is a big part of that. And that's a real thrill to be able to sort of employ those techniques. And of course, like all of us, you then look at other people doing the same thing you do in a totally different way, and you're hugely jealous and you want to do it. You wish you were them, all the time, but we're not, are we? We are who we are, and you've kind of got to work within the constraints that you've been given, whether that's the DNA you have or that's the situation you have. You kind of can't fight it too much. You've got to make it work within what you can. And so I'm really enjoying that, actually, trying to be the best human I could be, the best director, the best designer, the best parent, the best husband, the best whatever, and figure it out. It feels like I'm in a really exciting place.
Yeah. What a great segue for this next question too. Often when I'm teaching, I try to get people to understand a few, what I would consider basic ideas for us. And they are the gateway to being able to share, and to share of ourselves. And you're a great example of this idea of in the particular lies the universal, this thing that I wrote about in my book, Effect Perfection, which is, if it has meaning to you, it'll have meaning to other people. The things that you love and the things that you fear are the things that other people love and other people will fear. But when you're teaching this brings self-doubt. This brings fear. This brings this idea of who's going to like this idea of, well, I only have this small gift. Who's going to like that? Who's going to pay for it? Do you deal with doubt and fear?
Yeah, I do, massively. And actually, that was the first time I'd ever heard that quote in the particular Lies the Universal in your talk. And it's stuck with me ever since, because that is something, if I'm talking to students, I recite that too, because I think it's such a powerful statement. It's one of those beautifully eloquent statements, actually, that you say it and you're like, yeah, great. And it sticks in your brain, doesn't it? And you're like, oh, it's like this. It's actually a really hugely profound sentence, isn't it? Because it does mean a lot, and there is a power in, like, actually, no, if I like it, or if this is my voice, maybe there are other humans on the other planet, but then who would enjoy it. But yeah, then the sort of the gap between saying it and believing it,
saying it and putting
so
it out.
vast.
Yeah.
And also that is kind of like a lifetime's work. Hopefully we do this work, and on our deathbed we finally accept it, maybe. So it's not going to be an immediate thing. But I really, sort of have self-doubt and self-loathing and self-criticism and all of that stuff. But I think I try my hardest, if I am really in that headspace, to just allow it for a bit, have a little mope, have a little moan, go through the process, and then snap myself out of it as quickly as I can. And I think I've learned to just do that with like small little ideas, really silly things, just do something that will take me an hour, or just have a noodle. And I think noodle with a totally different medium or technique, or just, I think I'm really trying to be as introspective as possible to highlight those things and to recognize those patterns, and to realize, God, why am I being a bit of a downer? Why am I really not feeling it? Well, it's probably a bunch of different factors. And if I can identify what those factors are, then I've got a better chance of sort of dealing with it and moving on. But I think, like, there's no one that's immune to that. I think you wouldn't be human if you didn't do that. And I've spoke to some brilliant, hugely wonderfully creative humans, both at the talks that we've been lucky enough to both be at, and people we've managed to meet along the way, but also the amazing humans at Aardman, like Peter Lord and Nick Park and many sort of legendary creatives, and they all deal with it too. They all look to others and think, oh man, I wish I was that person. So that's really nice to know that everyone deals with it, but in the same way, I can get through it. I've just got to sort of put in the work and try and push past it a little bit. Still be a human and still not be a robot, but be aware of, okay, you've wallowed for 4 nights now. It's time to move. Come on, move on.
There's 2 things that come up when you were talking, and one is that you used one of my favorite words that's applied to creatives that creatives need to understand all the time, and it's allow.
Yeah.
Right, to allow that within ourselves. It's so hard for people just to allow it. We're all capable of it. We know what we're capable of, but to allow that out into the world is big. And the other thing is. Here, I'm gonna make that line, in the particular lies the universal, better for you. So I first read that years ago. I was reading an intro in an old copy of James Joyce's Dubliners, and he said that if he can describe his hometown in all of its details and all of the people accurately, the places that he loved and the people that he loved and the people that he hated, he says, then I am describing everywhere, because in the particular lies the universal. So he was trying to make it, in his hometown, trying to make it vivid for everyone to experience. Later, and only maybe 4 years ago, I read in my own copy of The Essential Rumi, one of my favorite books to carry on airplanes with me. Rumi wrote, and I had never seen this, I had skipped over it. Rumi wrote, in the particular glows the universal.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that rich?
Yeah, like that, like emanating, sort of powerful, attractive, like, yeah, that's added a nice little spin on that there. That's made it visual, isn't it?
It does. It doesn't just lie there. It doesn't just lie there. It has impacted meaning. I've got some people who want to say hello to you. Hang on here. You want to come in and say hi?
Yes. Hello, both.
That's Gavin. This is Wyatt, and this is Nova.
Hello, Wyatt and Nova. Nice to meet you. I know a lot about you. Your dad talks very highly of you both. He says you're both awesome kids. Is that true? Yes, it is.
Does he sound like Wallace or Gromit?
Yeah. Do I have?
Most of your characters are silent characters.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm a lot more noisy than actually Sean. I'm more noisy than Sean the Sheep. More noisy than Gromit. Yeah, good point actually. Yeah.
Hey guys, let me finish up here, and then I will come out and.
Okay,
yes, you may.
A pillow fort? Yeah, we can make a pillow fort.
Bye, kids.
Now they're gonna go destroy my fucking room.
Like, yes, you can.
Of course you can. Of course you can. I'm that kind of dad. Okay, back to work. I don't know if I'm going to edit that or not.
Keep it in. It's lush.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna move into some deeper stuff, and it's so funny allowing, because sometimes when I sat up early this morning and I was thinking about you and writing about you, and these questions just come to me, and I'm like, ooh, that's great, and now I have to allow myself to put it out into the world. It's so funny. Can art save lives? Right now, you're thinking, oh man, I wish James Victori could be my mentor, my guru. Hell, I wish he was my coach. Well, you can make that happen. Go to yourworkisagift.com. There's a questionnaire that will probably help you out, but it'll also give you access to a free call. So let's talk. Let's free you from overwhelm and creative frustration. Let's build your business and help you get paid to do what you love. Again, go to yourworkisagift.com. Let's talk.
Yes, hands down, resolutely yes. Yeah, it's yes, I do believe it can. I mean, whether it's literally gonna save a life, no, it is, because it's that brilliant. It was doing the rounds recently. I think it was Ethan Hawke talking about the arts, and he was talking about that it's like nourishment for the soul, and it's totally true. And of course, as soon as you get a bunch of artists talking about that, we sound incredibly pretentious and out of touch with the world. But you imagine this planet without music and art and design and paintings and beautiful textures and fabrics, and it would just be mechanical. It would be transactional. It wouldn't be worth living. So if we buy everything that we, as collectively, the creative industries puts into it, I do believe you save lives. You only actually need to go onto any, blimey, just even YouTube, which is full of horrific things, but you go onto any song or video or film clip, and people will actively pour their heart out and say, this song saved my life. It pushed me through my cancer diagnosis. This scene made me connect with my family again. That's powerful stuff. And that's just the stuff we're seeing where people are choosing to share that randomly on YouTube comments. There's going to be billions of people who are touched by art and design and creativity. So yeah, I choose to believe that we can. I'm going to be as bold and over the top and egotistical to say, yes, James, we save lives.
Yeah. I have a dear friend who is going through colon cancer right now. Wow. And he wrote me, he texts me a lot. Something had happened and he hadn't spoken to his doctor and he was freaking out. And I sent him from Dune, I sent him the Frank Herbert line about fear is the mind killer. Oh my God, it changed his life. Gavin. He was just like, he's practically got it, tattooed on his body now, because it was just like that line that line is now, his savior. That fear is the mind killer. Don't believe it. Just don't fucking believe it.
Well, it is. It's so, we all really know, all humans know what it takes to be a good, kind human. You know what you got to do, what you should not do. But actually, sometimes it takes people like us to hop on stage and remind people of the stuff they already know. Sometimes it's a quote in a movie, other times it's a song lyric. You kind of actually need those total strangers who have created this thing to connect with you, to tell you what you already know. So yeah, that's it. It is powerful. It is really powerful stuff. It's special. What a special thing to be involved in.
Yeah, that's cool. It's in the particular lies the universal, right?
Yeah, man.
So yeah, you chatted with my kids a little bit, and you have your own as well. I sometimes feel, what's the word? I'm of two minds about my kids and creativity and screens. Their lives, their education. I think they have too many screens in school. I think they have access to way too much stuff. I don't allow them screens in the home. We have a TV away in a room where we watch movies, and it's curated and we're all together. I was watching a popular creator on YouTube recently, and he was with his kid, and he said, "What do you want to draw? Oh, let's draw a tiger," and pulled up an app, or pulled up AI, and he said, and starts going into it, and he gets this image of a tiger, and I wanted to scream in all caps, like exactly, like what is in your child's head just when you say tiger is so much more interesting than vis-a-vis our kids. What are your thoughts about the future of AI?
Oh.
We can skip that. The big groan. Hey, my opinion is, isn't there a plug somewhere? Can't we unplug that shit? Like,
Oh, if we could I would pull the plug. No mercy. I'd smother it with a pillow. Yeah, I'd and not think twice about it, to be honest. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that groan tells you everything you need to know about it, because otherwise I'll spend the next 2 hours ranting about it. But no, I'll leave it at this. I got into creativity and love creativity because I love every single part of it. I love the not knowing and the big question marks at the beginning. I love the noodling and the messing it up and getting frustrated and getting really cross. And then I love the bit where you're feeling it and you're like, maybe I'm not terrible. Maybe this could go somewhere. And then falling into that cavern again and going, no, actually, no, this is terrible. And I'm terrible. And oh my God, what am I ever going to do? And then pulling yourself out of it and then finishing it and then going, great, finish. Let's make something else. I love that whole process. I got into it and continue to do it because every part of that is joyous and terrible and wonderful and hurtful and full of love and full of hate. And it's all the emotions. You can experience the full spectrum of human emotion by just trying to flipping make something. I have no idea why you would want to type something in a box and let a machine do it for you. I really don't. I have no clue. So no, let's pull the plug. And my kids, what's in their brain is the best bit. And it's interesting, like screen time, I guess, because I predominantly work at a studio and make things for screens. We do have quite a lot of screen time, but actually your word there, curation, is really powerful. So there's no YouTube in this house. They have actually taken it off the TV. I can't watch it on YouTube if I wanted to, because there's no curation there, and I want to be sure, especially because mine are 8 and 4. You know, I'm such a scared kid. I'm still terrified by accidentally watching Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, and accidentally being loaned a copy of RoboCop and Ed 209, blasting that person's torso in half. I'm still burnt and emotionally scarred by those visuals that I didn't have a choice in seeing. So I'm going to hold on to curation as long as possible. And I think because I like technology and sort of like I like Apple's parental controls and screen time protection. So, when the time comes, when they do have their own devices, whenever that may be, I will be really hot on it. So yes, I'm with you there. Total curation and protection, really. It's not because you don't want to let them have a fun time. It's because there is a sea of things that they are not ready to see, to view yet.
Yeah. I take it so seriously that I actually think I'm raising the next John Connor.
Yes, I like that. Yes.
So, having spoken about that, here's a goofball question out of my own curiosity. Is it your own company? What is Jam Factory?
It is kind of just the name that I've gone under for the last, it'll be celebrating 25 years next year, because I'm trying to do some stuff for it. Yeah, long story short, when I first got my first job, sort of 17, 18, my boss was kind of wondering who this kid was that had been given, who was just didn't have a clue about anything, but just was excited, was basically like, dude, you need to be so much better, and you are not going to get better within the hours that you are here at work. You need to put in more time. You got to love this stuff. You've got to really enjoy it. So, you should have your own website. You should have your own place to call your own, and you can experiment and you can grow. And, this was the beginnings of the web. This was the year 2000. It was like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting and exciting. And so, so he was like, pick a domain name. And I was a big fan of Designers Republic, 123 Clan. Everyone had a cool alter ego and an alias in the 2000s, didn't they? And I wanted one too, but I couldn't think of one. I couldn't think of a good one. And so I just randomly picked Jam Factory and it stuck. And so I basically used it as the name that I put out everything that no one asks for. So, Aardman is the studio I work at, and I do my absolute best to to make the most professional, lovely stuff. Jam Factory is all the things that no one asks for, no one wants, and I don't care if they want it or not because I want to make it. And it's nice. It's felt like quite a nice sort of, it means everything and nothing. Jam Factory only is a name for me, and I just put stuff out, and long may it continue. Hopefully.
Excellent. Last question, and I'll leave you on this. Give me your beautiful future.
Oh, what a gorgeous question. Oh, do you know what? What's so interesting is the moment you said that beautiful future, my brain just pictured my kids and my wife. Isn't that a nice thing that's like the natural thought? A beautiful future for me is my children and my wife and my family happy, healthy, being good humans. Particularly, my wife is a gorgeous human. She's such a positive, lovely individual. I want my children to hopefully feel safe and loved and respectful, and I want them to pursue what they want to pursue. And then hopefully at the same time that I'm being a parent, that hopefully my beautiful future is personally continuing to make silly things, joyous things, and to work with good, lovely, kind people and put things out into the universe that hopefully delight other people.
Beautiful. Gavin, you're a beautiful man. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
James, you're an absolute hero and a legend amongst all humans, and I'm honored to be on your lovely podcast. Thank you, my brother.
Okay.